Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today I have some really creepy real life story that will leave you shocked. If you have ever experienced something terrifying, I would love to hear about it. You can send me your stories through this email and I will do my best to share them with everyone. And this email is in the description. Just one thing, make sure your stories are real. We want the really creepy stuff. No fake stories. Now, without wasting any more time, here is the story that will blow your mind. Something you have never heard before. Before there was ever a house here, before the Whaley family even thought of moving in, there was a hanging. In 1852, a man named James Robinson, everyone called him Yankee Jim, was sentenced to death for stealing. But the hanging did not go the way it was supposed to. The noose was tied wrong, and instead of a quick, clean drop, his body stayed too close to the ground. And this is where it turns into something people would never forget. Instead of breaking his neck instantly, Yankee Jim's feet were still touching the dirt. He dragged them, scraped them, pushed against the ground as he tried to hold himself up. He kicked wildly, his body twisting and shaking, his face turning red as the rope pulled tighter and tighter around his throat. It was slow, painfully slow. People stood there watching, some shocked, some horrified, as minute after minute dragged by. He fought for his life, but there was no way out. In the end, the rope won. His body finally went still. And here is the creepy part. All of this happened on a very same ground where the Whaley house would later be built. If I knew the story, I would never build a house there. But Thomas Whaley did. And locals say Yankee Jim's spirit never left. 4 years later, in 1856, Thomas Whaley bought the land cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean suspiciously cheap. Everyone in town knew what had happened here. They warned him. They whispered about Yankee Jim, about the way he died, and how his spirit would never rest. But Thomas, he just laughed it off. To him, it was business, just land, just money. So he built a beautiful two-story house right on top of the old hanging ground. And honestly, for that time, it was fancy. Red brick walls, tall windows, a formal parlor for guests, a dining room where the family could sit together, and bedrooms upstairs. It looked like the dream house of San Diego. You can almost imagine Thomas Whaley and his wife, Anna, settling in with their kids, smiling, thinking they had started a brand new life. But here is where it gets strange. From the very beginning, things in that house were off. The Whalers moved into their new home, unpacking their trunks and boxes, trying to settle into this fresh start. Thomas and Anna were busy with the house, arranging furniture, making it look like the fine home they had always dreamed of. But their youngest daughter, Lillian, was different. She was just a child, curious and quiet, always watching, always listening. One evening, while she was unpacking her little things in her bedroom, she suddenly froze. She heard it, footsteps. Yeah, footsteps. Heavy, slow footsteps, like boots pressing down on the wooden floor. Third, third, third. At first, she thought maybe it was her father walking down the hall, but when she peeked out, no one was there. Literally, no one was there. She was just a child. She got terrified, and there were just silence. The strange thing was, it did not happen only once, night after night. As she lay in her bed or sat playing with her dolls, she would hear these same steps echoing through the halls. Sometimes they sounded far away, other times so close It felt like someone was just outside her door. But Lillian was too afraid to say anything. For many days, she kept it to herself, hoping it would stop. But one night around 3 a.m., when everyone was sleeping, she suddenly woke up to the sound of heavy footsteps. The noise was so loud and random that it jolted her awake. She was so terrified. She wanted to run to her parents' room, but the fear froze her in place. She could not even gather the courage to step out of the bed, let alone leave her room. And then slowly she began to realize something even more horrifying. The footsteps were not outside anymore, they were inside her own room. That was the moment she completely lost it. She was so terrified she could barely breathe. The entire night she stayed wide awake, unable to move, trapped in her own fear. It was one of the most terrifying experiences of her life. Honestly, if I had been there, I would have been in an even worse state than her. She's brave than she thinks. As soon as morning came, she ran straight to her parents' room and told them everything that had happened. They calmed her down at first, but then gently told her it was just her imagination, that maybe the wooden floor was creaking, and that's why she thought she heard footsteps. But in reality, they already knew the truth. They had been experiencing the same strange things for days. They just did not want their daughter to know, afraid that if she realized it, she had lived in constant fear of the house. Since it was their new house, relatives also came over to congratulate them and celebrate the occasion. When some of them stayed in the guest room, strange things began to happen. They too heard footsteps at night. Some even mentioned that they felt as if someone was watching them, or they saw moving shadows, or heard the creak of a door. But none of them spoke about it openly to the family. After all, they were guests and they did not want to embarrass their host by calling their new house creepy. Instead, they only hinted as it quietly, speaking in indirect words. The rumors spread quickly, and the townspeople were not surprised. Everyone already knew what had happened on this land. They said it had to be Yankee Jim, still stomping his boots in rage, reminding anyone who dared to live there that the ground beneath their feet would always belong to him. It was not just the footsteps echoing through the halls. The Whaley family seemed to carry sorrow in every corner of that house. Their pain began with something no parent ever wants to face, the death of a child. Their baby boy became sick with scarlet fever. Imagine Anna, the mother, rocking him in her arms, praying he would pull through. But the fever did not break. His tiny cries grew weaker until one day the house fell silent. The sound of his breathing was gone, and in its place, only grief remained. The village buried their little boy, but in that house, his absence was everywhere. The toys left untouched, the stillness of a room that should have been full of life. But the tragedies did not stop there. Their daughter Violet believed she had found happiness. She got married right there in the same house. For a short while, it seemed like things might finally be good for her. But the marriage quickly fell apart and Violet came back home. After that, she was never the same. She stayed quiet all the time, walking through the halls with her head down, sitting by the window for hours, just staring outside. Her parents tried to talk to her, tried to bring her comfort, but nothing worked. It was like the sadness had taken over her completely. Her parents did everything they could. They sat with her, begged her to talk, tried to remind her of happier times, but nothing changed. It was like no matter what they said, The sadness inside her would not let go. Then one morning, the house filled with sound that no one could ever forget, a gunshot. She had taken a pistol upstairs and ended her life. Her parents rushed to her side, but she was already gone. The home that once held her laughter was now filled with silence and grief. Over the years, the Vere parents grew more and more broken by grief. Every time something strange happened in the house, footsteps at night, doors creaking, shadows moving, Anna and Thomas would try to ignore it, try to comfort each other, but it was too much. The sadness dug into them. They stopped smiling, they hardly talked. Then Thomas fell ill. Doctors said it was a fever. Maybe stress had made his body weak. He died not long after, leaving Anna alone in that big, silent house. She lived a few more years, but the house had already taken so much from her. She died quietly in one of the upstairs room. People say with the tears in her eyes. Now people say the village never really left. Visitors who stay late report seeing Thomas' ghost near the staircase landing, a faint figure in old clothes, standing near as if waiting for someone. Anna's spirit is said to be appear in the garden or by front door, gazing at the house, or sometimes drifting through the rooms downstairs. Some say they saw flickering light in empty rooms. Others claim that on certain nights you hear Thomas' voice calling Anna's name softly. These are the stories people share online in ghost forums and local tales. And they all whisper the same thing: the house is still alive in the worst way. Even well known people have shared their experiences. Regis Philbin, the television host himself, once admitted that he saw Mrs. Whaley standing in the parlor, clear as day. Not a shadow, not a trick of light, but the woman in old fashioned clothes looking directly at him. He said it shook him so deeply that he could never forget it. That is the power of this house. It does not let people leave without taking something with them. Visitors often notice strange things the moment they walk in. Some catch the sharp scent of cigars smoking drifting through the rooms, even when nobody is smoking. Others are hit by overwhelming smell of strong perfume, as if someone from another time has just walked past. And then there are the footsteps, always the footsteps, heavy following you through the halls, up the stairs, across the floorboards. You feel the presence right behind you. When you turn around, there is nothing. The Whaley House is now a historical museum open to the public. Tour guides say almost every week someone claims to see or hear something they can't explain. Some even refuse to go upstairs after dark. It's been called one of the most haunted houses in America, not just because of the deaths, but because of how often people experience the ghost's presence. So, what do you think? Is it just old creaking wood and imagination? Or is Yankee Jim still stomping through the house, joined by the Whaley family who could never leave?